Now we are going to discuss the organizational structures. You can go through your assignment 1. The assignment will be on organizational structures. I haven't discussed it you on this. In fact, there's an overlap in your curriculum. This is to be taught in semester 6 as well. So anyway, we'll go through the slides, right? I have uploaded the slides. You can download and go through like that with you, or you can follow the lecture. Okay? So what do you mean by an organizational structure? What do you mean by an organizational structure? Organizational structure is something, let's say, something like CECB or ministry or university. Any organization, let's say university, there's an organizational chart for a university. Okay? Vice Chancellor, then you have the deans, and you have a DG, then you have a director MIS, you have a director in this university, yeah? Director finance, director AAQA, like that. Under the deans, we have heads, we have academic staff. And then non-academic staff. Right? Under DG also you have things like that. So this is what we call an organizational structure. Right? This is what we call an organizational structure. So we understand what an organizational structure is. And there are different types of organizational structures in the world. There are different types of organizational structures in the world. They are divided mainly into 3 sections, 3 types of organizational structures. Functional, matrix, projectized. Functional organizations, matrix organizations, projectized organizations. Within matrix, there are 3 types. Weak matrix, balanced matrix, and strong matrix. You understand what an organizational structure is? And this is a categorization of organizational structures. Let's discuss the characteristics of these organizational structures. There are these 3 types. Within the matrix side, there are another 3. Originally, maybe 20 years back, we had this functional type only. Those are typical government organizational structures. University, still mostly functional. That means it's a clear hierarchy. It's a clear hierarchy. The department staff has to coordinate with the head of the department have to coordinate with the dean have to coordinate with the vice chancellor. That organizational structure is there. We can't directly go to the vice chancellor for any case. Students are there, students have to contact the coordinators have to deal with heads of the departments, right? Head of the departments have to coordinate with me, like that. Functional. Ministries, it's also like that. You have the minister from the top, maybe the secretary to the ministry, then you have deputy secretaries to the ministry, maybe, I don't know. Then you have the heads of institutions, Under the head of institutions, you have department staff like that, right? And if it's a private organization, that we will discuss later, right? Functional is that, right? In a university, if you want to get a pen, we have to request the dean, and there's a process. We can't just get a pen unless we spend on our own money from university money. We can't even get a pen directly. Okay, that's the characteristic of functional organization. There's a clear hierarchy. We can't violate the hierarchy. Right? On the other hand, the other extreme is projectized, where the project manager or the person who handles the project has the full authority. Right? Since you were in your training periods earlier, you know there are some organizations where they ask us to contact the HR division and get you. But there are some projects where the project manager has the right to recruit people himself. Right? Akarawatalage site, the site that they went, the project manager had the full authority to take people. Okay? He takes the entire decision, the entire responsibility falls on the project manager. So whoever the head at that particular site itself, in a construction site, that is. Right? There are advantages and disadvantages of each. Functional, there's a clear hierarchy, the possibility of corruption is less. Right? And there's a possibility of getting promotions for people like that. Projectized, no. And the jobs are secure. Government jobs we don't normally use. Projectized, after the project is over, there are no jobs. Right? You have to find your own occupations when the project finishes. But they may be paid higher. And the decisions are quicker. Right? This is typical government. This is typical private. Typical private also you have different types of organizations, but here the power goes through the hierarchy. Here the full responsibility of the decisions lie on the project manager. Right? There are advantages in functional and there are disadvantages in functional. Advantages of functional, disadvantages of functional, advantages of projectized and disadvantages of projectized. Matrix type organizations, they are there combining the advantages of this and advantages of this, reducing the disadvantages of this and eliminating the disadvantages of this. Trying to get the advantages of functional organizations and the advantages of projectized organizations and eliminate the disadvantages of these type of organizations. There also we have three types: weak, balanced, strong. Weak matrix organizations, they take more functional and less projectized. More like functional, but there's some responsibility decentralized. There's some responsibility for the site level people, that is site level employees. Projectized, strong matrix, it's more like projectized, where there's a lot of projectized characteristics and a small amount of functional characteristics. Right? Right? Weak, this is functional, more functional. Strong, more projectized. Projectized mean the site level, the ground level can make decisions. Functional means you can't take decisions, you have to get the approval. Let's say you're hiring somebody, recruiting somebody for a university or maybe the water board or something like that. There you have to put a paper and get the approval for that. You have to send that to the treasury. Then the treasury has to give the clearance, and then only you can get. Projectiles, on the other hand, if they want, they get. In functional, you need 3 quotations even for getting maybe a small thing of like 5,000-6,000. You have to get 3 quotations and compare them and like that. That's the nature. Projectized private organizations, they just get what they want. Right? Okay. Hope you understand. If you have any issue, if you don't understand this, because this is the last time that I'm going to do this, even for those who are absent, we are just sending the video and they have to do. Right? The person who edits the video will have to cut these unnecessary parts off and keep the necessary things only so that they download a lesser size of file. Right? It's your data ultimately. Right? So once again, the summary is you have a hierarchy. Here you don't have a hierarchy. Right. And there's another characteristics, functional. You have from the top person, it's more like vertical. This person is responsible for the immediately top person. This person is responsible for the immediately top person, like that. This is functional. Projectiles, on the other hand, there's one top person and it's like more like horizontal, like this. Right? Where this person can take all the decisions. Here you have to get the approval of this chain, and the decisions come like this, and you can take decision. Here this person can take any decision at the site itself, at the ground level itself. There's a possibility of corruption that we have to understand. Right? So these are the 5 types of organizational structures that we have. So whatever the organization that you are selecting for the assignment 1, there I'm asking you to select a particular organization and discuss the type of organization that you're going to have, the type of structure of the organization that you are having in that organization, and comment on that. So you have 5 types: functional, weak matrix, balanced matrix, strong matrix, and projectiles. These are the 5 types of organizational structures that we have in the world. So depending on the organization that you're selecting, you should have the skill of identifying whether this is a functional or a matrix or a projectized organization. If it is a matrix organization, so is that weak or strong? Weak, more like functional; strong, more like projectized. Right? Okay. Now I'm moving on to the next slide. There are these 5 types of organizations. There are these 5 types of organizations where we should be able to differentiate the organizations based on these 6 parameters. You have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you have 5 types of organizational structures: functional, right, weak matrix, like that. So you should be able to create a table like this. And level of authority of the functional organization, it is this. Level of authority of the site, or maybe the project manager. It may be the person who's there at the site, ground level. Right? Availability of the resources to him or her. Control of the project budget for the him or her. Him or her means typically the project manager, or whoever controls the ground level of the project. Right. Role of whether the project manager is full time or part time. Project manager has to report to somebody, or the person who has the authority of things, and administrative staff, whether it is full time or part time. So based on these 6 characteristics, these 5 things you should be able to say. Right? The level of authority of the project manager in a functional organization is like this. I will present the summary of this later in maybe the last slide, but we'll have a discussion on that. Right? Okay. Functional organization, it's traditional. That's what we are used to. Typical government organizations, we go with functional type because there are clear instructions, guidelines, regulations in place. Instructions, guidelines, regulations in place. They're clear, well defined. If you have to do, you have to follow the procedure. Right? Typically, this is traditional. Typically, the organization is divided into departments. Departments that are responsible. Maybe, let's say, for example, CECB, right? You have several branches. The structural branch, architectural branch, the quantity surveying branch, geotechnical branch. There are different branches, and there's a head for each of these branches. I'm not saying that CECB is functional, right? CECB has more functional characteristics. CECB has more functional characteristics. So those divisions or departments have a head. They are the people who are responsible for all the designs that are being done. Right? If you take a site, the site has to coordinate with the architectural department separately, structural department separately, the quantity survey department separately. It's like that. Within the organization, there are several branches. There's a head for that branch. All the necessary documentation related to that particular project is issued by the relevant department. Right? So those heads are called functional managers. Those are the people who are responsible for everything. Head of that DGM or maybe chief architect, chief structural engineer, like that. It consists of well-defined hierarchy. Well-defined hierarchy. So your immediate boss is known to you. Your immediate boss is known to you. There's a complaint. Who should you contact? Is clearly defined there. Okay. Who should you contact is clearly defined there. Project managers, whoever coordinates the site, has to be reporting to that particular head of the branch. CECP, for example, assigns somebody to a site. That particular person, let's say structural engineer, he or she has to coordinate with the chief structural engineer to get things done. This is a typical functional organization. As I told you, here you have maybe the general manager or whoever the chief executive officer. Under him, there's a head of a separate division or department. Under him, you have several staff. Right? You can see there are some shaded, let's say for example, this is shaded, this is shaded, this is shaded, and this is shaded. Shaded means color of the box is different. Those are let's say we are taking a particular project here. Let's say the hostel building of the university. If CECB is a consultant, you have to coordinate with the staff here, with the staff here, with the staff here. Right? For each project, the departments allocate a person or a couple of people. The project, we have to coordinate with those people. Right? So this particular person here handles this project, and if there's another project somewhere, he may coordinate that as well. So the staff is not full-time allocated for this particular project. Staff is not allocated like that full-time, right? So it's the characteristic of functional organization, right? So level of authority at the site. So these are the 6 things that I have told you. Level of authority at the site is little to none, because everything has to be coordinated with the head office. Right? Availability of the resources. Once again, we have to have the approval of the head office. At the site level, no permission is given. Control of the project budget, once again, head of that branch, not at the site. Everything is done at the head office. Project manager, once again, you don't need a full-time project manager, right? He, as I told you, the staff, if they have several projects, they will handle several projects, right? Reporting manager, the project manager is functional. We are responsible to that head of the department only, and head of the branch only. Staff, once again, is not full-time. Part-time in the sense their job is full-time, but the allocation of their time to the project is half-time. Right. So what are the advantages of functional organizations? What are the advantages of functional organizations? First thing is there's a clear reporting structure. If something goes wrong, you know where it has gone wrong. Right? Clear reporting structure, the approvals, everything is clear. There's no confusion. There's no confusion. You have to report to the functional manager, head of the structural engineer division or maybe the architecture division. And there's a room for advancement. That means you can get promotions. Once your service is satisfied, you can get promotion, salary increments. Everything is possible. The job security is there. With the experience, you can be the chief architect of that particular organization. The room for advancement is there. Stable. That means you don't normally use a job unless you resign or unless you do something seriously wrong. Right? So your job is stable, secure. It's very less chance that you're losing your job. Especially in situations like this, functional organizations are preferred by the community, because even if you don't do anything, you get the salary. It's because of that. And groups of specialization. Let's say one structural engineer is unfamiliar with certain stuff. Let's say maybe a flat slab or something. If he is unfamiliar, he can get the assistance of somebody in the room itself, because there are several structural engineers there in that division. So if you don't know something, you can discuss and take decision. There's a group of people who are there. Okay? So you can have a discussion, you can discuss and take decisions. On the other hand, project manager at the site level, right? As I told you, there are several advantages in functional organizations like this, and there are disadvantages as well. The project level, you can't take decisions. Project level, you have to get the approval of the upper management. You have to go through the chain of command and get the approval for this. right? That takes time, right? And no room for growth. Right? That means when your project is over, you have to go to a new project, no promotions during the organization itself, like that. In the project management field, nothing. Resources are limited. But that is because that's why we don't have staff here. Ne? We can't get staff because we have to get various approvals, several committees to get staff for a university. So that's a reason for that. Project team focus on their specialty, not the project. Now, let's say for structural engineers, they do the structure only. Right? Services engineers, they do the plumbing and everything. Sometimes the plumbing layout overlaps with the structures. In that case, you have to break and do various kinds of things. Okay. Project team focus on it's like the structural engineer assigned for project. This is structural. He doesn't mind what the project, what is happening in the project. The DOQ, he's worried about the structural aspects. No, sorry, the first aspects only. Architect, this is architecture only, right? Because they have several projects running, their time to focus on this particular project is less. So that's a disadvantage. Now, earlier we had functional, now the project is the total opposite extreme of functional organizations. Total opposite extreme. Total opposite extreme, where the staff is allocated for the project itself. They are under the project manager. They don't have to report anywhere else. They have to report to the project manager. It's the site only. The project manager has the full authority. He can hire people, he can fire people. It's a very powerful position in that he has a very high authority. Yes. Here, whoever the chief executive will be maybe the general manager or managing director or CEO, somebody. The project managers are directly under him and the staff is allocated for the project only. This particular staff member doesn't do any other project. He does this particular project only. He does this particular project only. So site level coordination can be done at the site itself, where they have this person here has the full authority. The project manager here has the full authority. Hope you understand. Okay. Can you see my slide? Right, okay. Level of authority to project manager is high. That is understandable. Right, you understand that because all the decisions are taken at the project level itself. So it's good in that sense. Decisions can be quick. Availability of the resources is high. If the project manager wants somebody to be hired, if you want something to be purchased, he can take the decision and do that. Control of the project. Once again, the full responsibility of the project lies with the project manager. Full responsibility of the project lies with the project manager. So he doesn't need to coordinate with anybody to do anything. If the project is a success, it's his responsibility. If the project is failure, once again, it's his responsibility. Project manager, the role, once again, he has to be a full-time officer because he's a person who takes decision. That particular project manager can't manage several projects because the full responsibility of the project lies with him. Right? If you can't hear me, just let me know. The project manager reports directly to the chief executive officer, whoever the top level person of the organization. There are no intermediate branches. The project manager is directly under whoever the, maybe the managing director, maybe the owner, like that. Administrative staff, once again, the staff is full time allocated for the project. After the project, they'll have to find some job to go for continuing their career, right? It's like that. There are advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are project manager has the authority and he can take quick decisions. Can take quick decisions. There's no lack. There's no delay in taking the decision making process. It's efficient. Because of that, it's efficient. There's no delay. Staff is loyal because they are doing that particular project only, not like functional organization. They are doing that project only. So they have to worry about the success of that particular project only, not anything else. Right? Disadvantages, as I told you, unstable for the staff. Those are all project assignments. After the project, we'll have to take decision to maybe leave the organization or maybe leave the project. You have to find something. And no in-house expertise is readily available. Unlike functional organization, there, if the structural engineer doesn't know, maybe let's say a retaining wall design, he can design with he can discuss with somebody within the organization, within the office, within the room and take decisions. Here, the structural engineer doesn't know anything. He somehow has to manage. Because there's nobody in the, this is very common in construction industry now. They hire a lot of people. They have to manage it within the site itself. This is the site itself. Right? So those are the advantages and disadvantages of projectized. Okay. Now, in one end we have functional, and the other end we have projectized. We combine these two and create this matrix type of organization. Let me combine these two. We take some characteristics of functional organization, some characteristics of projectized organizations, and make up with this matrix organizations. It's a blend. It's a blend of functional and projectized. If it's somewhere here, we're closer to functional, we call it weak matrix. If it's somewhere here, closer to projectized, we call it strong matrix. Right? The project staff reports to both project manager and functional manager. The project manager does not have full authority, but he has a considerable authority in comparison to functional organizations. Right? Three types, as I told you: weak, balanced, and strong. Right? So as far as you are concerned, I expect you to know the characteristics of these. Right? These three. In terms of those 6 parameters that we're discussing. Right? So totally weak matrix is closer to functional and strong matrix is closer to projectized in structure. And this is also important in weak matrix. Sometimes the weak matrix is more like functional, as I told you. It's like government institutions, some government institutions. Okay. These two words are important. Project coordinator and project expediter. Right? Project coordinator or project expediter, that means it's not a project manager per se, right? There's a project coordination part, sometimes project expediter. There's a difference between these two as well. Sorry. Oops. There's a difference between these two as well. Project coordinator has some authority where project expediter does not have any authority. For example, let's say we have planned to do a slab concreting, let's say tonight, right? The plan was to do the slab concreting tonight, right? Due to rain or something, or due to an unavoidable circumstance, the project team wants to delay it to tomorrow morning. The plan was to tonight, and they're going to do it tomorrow morning. That decision is a minor decision. There's no big delay as such. Project coordinator can take that decision, but not project expediter. That is the difference between the project coordinator and project expediter. This project expediter is pretty much Kailankare only. Right? He coordinates with the top authority only. He has to take the permission of the head office or something to even delay something by a half a day. But project coordinator is equipped with some authority. Right? So that is the difference between those two characters. Okay. The internet connection is slow. You can't see my next slide, right? Yet. Right. And weak matrix, as I told you, once again, I'm drawing this functional projectized is closer to functional. We call it weak matrix. This is this. It's more like functional. There's a functional manager or department head everywhere, right? And there's a dedicated staff of each branch to this project. Say the university hostel project, there's a dedicated staff here. They may coordinate with others as well, like this. There's a dedicated staff. If your project is here, you know who to contact to. He is the person who's assigned for your project. So that is the difference. It's more like functional. This person is responsible reporting to this. This person is reporting to this. This person is reporting to this. But this person is dedicated for this project. Right? Strong matrix, on the other hand, there's a functional manager. The project manager is not responsible for any other functional manager, and he has his boss, the project manager himself. Right? This staff with the project manager is dedicated for the project. Right? This project manager has some authority because he is not under this person, or this person, or this person. Right? In the earlier case, project manager's boss also was a functional manager. Here, this is also a project manager. He has some authority. He has a higher authority in comparison. Right? This is more like projectized organization. Balance, once again, it's a blend of those two as well. There's a project manager, there's a functional manager that he has to report to, but there's a dedicated staff. It's a dedicated staff. Right? So this is the summary. You'll have to wait a while. You can see it. Yeah, right. Now, okay. This is a summary. So I told you there are these characteristics and there are these 5 types. Project manager's authority in functional, little to none. In projectiles, it's almost total. Right? In this direction, it increases. Resource availability in this direction, it increases. Project budget, here it's functional, head of quantity survey or somebody. Here the project manager himself. Right? Project manager's role here in this case is part-time. In this case, it's full-time because he is, sorry, this person manages the project. Project manager manages the project here. Like that. Administrative staff is part-time here, full-time here. The time allocation, the dedication towards the project is increasing from here to here. Right? So that is basically what it is. If you have an issue, you can ask, as I told you, organizations. There are 5 types. Okay. Balance matrix, I have a question that I will answer, Sanupa. There are 5 functional, projectized, okay. Here we have peak matrix, balance matrix, strong matrix. Right? As I told you, weak matrix is more like functional, strong matrix is more like projectized. So what are the differences between these 3? I think that is what you're asking. Right? The major difference is the way that the project coordination is done. Right? Weak matrix, you have to get the permission of the head office to do something. Right? You have to get the permission, but there's a dedicated staff of the project. Anyway, you have to get the permission of the head office. Right? If you want to recruit somebody, you have to get the permission of the head office. Right? But that channel is easy. Functional, you don't have a dedicated person. Right? Here, there are several staff that you're dealing with. You don't have a dedicated staff. All these staff are doing several projects. Here, although some of the staff are doing several projects, you have a dedicated staff, 1 person at least. Still, you need to contact the functional head office. ඔබ යෝෂණීල that Madhusha නේද? Madhusha? Madhusha, where's Madhusha? What's up with her? Let's see. There's a dedicated staff, sorry. There's a dedicated staff, but you have to contact the head office. strong matrix, there's a dedicated staff, and there are a dedicated project manager, dedicated staff and dedicated project manager, where they can take some decisions, but this project manager has a higher person to him. The project manager cannot directly contact the CEO. There's a person who's above him, below the CEO. Umaran හිටියේ ඉස්සරහනේ. Right. There's a dedicated staff. There's project manager cannot directly contact the CEO. Right. There's a higher person for him, but he's not under any department. Structural department has no authority of the project manager. Project manager has his own boss. Nobody can influence the decisions taken by this project manager. Balance matrix. Once again, if you go to the slide, you can understand the difference. So I'll go up once again. Right here, there's a dedicated staff, and this staff reports a functional manager. Sorry, there's a dedicated staff. That staff is responsible for the functional manager. Strong matrix. This person has his own boss. You don't have any boss leads here. This person has no authority here. Weak matrix. He belongs to a department, but there's a coordination. This staff doesn't have authority of him. And he has his own boss, and this person reports to him and him. 1, 2. So that is the difference. I mean, theoretically, you can't say that there are clear-cut differences like this. You have to consider the practical situation. You have to select an organization of your own liking and understand the situation that is happening there. Right? These are not theories, these are practical stuff. Right? That's why I have given you an assignment to do this. Right? So that is the difference. Any other questions? Balance metric, take the both sides of weak and strong. Yes. It's a combination of weak and strong matrix. Yes. Yes. Charlotte, yes. Balance matrix. It's not large matrix, it's balance. Okay. Balance matrix is a combination of weak and strong matrix. Anything else? Because I'm going to give you an assignment now, that's why. Projectize advantages and disadvantages. That you have to think here. The slides are there. Projectize means that decisions are quick. Right? The site level can take decisions. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of that? You should be able to think and do. Right? You don't have the responsibility, or you don't have an upper authority to take decisions. Right? Other thing is, it's project stuff. Once a project is over, you have to find somebody to do that. You have to find some place to do an occupation, right? It's there. Anything else? Balance matrix, who takes the authority? Sometimes it's project manager, sometimes it's functional manager, depending on the organization. You can say the projectize project manager, functional manager. Balance matrix, we can't say. Some decisions can be made by the project manager, some decisions have to be managed by the upper level. We can't say. Wait a minute. If you have a question, you can post in chat. So group A, we have these 4 people. Group B, we have these 4 people. C, D, E, F, G. يلا قرأت اللي ذكر دي يعني ميدان ذاك H I ಅನಿತ್ಯದ ಹೌದು ರತ್ನಾಯಕ ಮಧುಷ ಸುರಟಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಿತರದನತ್ತೆ ದಯಾನಂದ ವಿತರ ಏನತ್ತೆ ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ಸಿಟಿ ಆರಂಕೆ J K L. Right, those are the rules that you're having. That is the